All right, we'll use the camera microphone, I guess. How's that? How's that? Get all the growling and stuff. Get all the growling and stuff. Yep, she was fine all morning, and then she all of a sudden needed some attention. So let's see. Living with adult PTSD related to childhood trauma in which he developed dissociative disorder as an adult. Very stressful for me. Oh yeah. And yeah, I can understand that, and I was on my way there as far as the disassociation, and that I was very standoffish, very anti everything when I was off of work, so negative that people didn't want to be around, and any change in anything that I didn't expect just would throw me into a negative thing where I would end up having to go off by myself for a while. Was not very healthy for relationships. But Sarah, is he in counseling and or seeing a physician, or both? All right. So we still have Facebook over on its own little connection, and it'll probably stay that way. So I can't put comments up on the main screen. Are we done yet? I love you. Okay, this will make her calm down and go away. Should we comb you? Should we comb her? What about her face? No? What about over here? Oh, get the ears. Oh my gosh. What about here? Surprised she didn't just automatically run away. Alright. Go get Jackson. Tell him good morning. Okay, Sarah. Kids in the mix, and so I try to let him be most of the time, but I need to find a way to get him to do. Yeah, yeah, that's a difficult situation for you both. I mean, I'm sure that he tries to reason with why he is the way that he is too, and but yeah, and seeing weekly counseling, monthly psychiatrist, regular general medical physician. He's on quite a few meds, but he wants to be on a stronger lithium-based med to stop voices. Yeah, that is a very difficult situation. Yeah, so there's some schizophrenia in there too. Let me just throw this out here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just another Joe Schmo out there trying to help out with mental health issues, mental health situations, trying to make you understand from the point of a patient. Yeah, that is a very difficult situation, and there are other support groups out there for families of mental health patients that you can access to. The NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Health Issues. I can't remember what the I stands for in NAMI. they have resources out there for everybody, as well as informative videos from NAMI.org, NAMI.org. I've been told I'm a saint for dealing with him for 7 years. Well, you are. You are. I mean, it takes certain kinds of people to live with us. It really does. So, pen just fell apart. It's difficult for everybody. I mean, he doesn't want to be the way that he is either, and the counseling and that is going to help him understand why he is the way that he is. But trying to, deal with that is a monumental task. And then you having to try to make up for his absence is another thing entirely. So, yeah, there is a conference coming up for NAMI. Let me look on the computer here. Look at my email. You can register for, it's an online conference. And there are a ton of topics. You can pick and choose, obviously, since you're at home or wherever. You can pick and choose what topic that you sit in on for the hour or 2 hours or whenever you're available to. I'm hoping they'll make the content available offline too. Let me find. There are too many emails. Close that one down. It's in my Outlook. There's also some other online tools. Let me find this email real quick. I'll be quicker on my phone. This thing is being slow. So, NAMI convention. It is on July 13th and July 14th. If you go to nami.org/convention, you can look at the schedule. You can see if there's anything there that interests you. Anything on those topics, especially, I mean, both from the patient side and from the supporter side. Yeah. So I've got to pick what I'm going to do, and that's in a few days. I haven't picked classes yet, but I mean, it's one full day and one kind of half day. But see if there's anything there that interests you that can help you out. There's another online tool here too, My Strength. Let me get the email or the actual address out of my email. MyStrength.com has a lot of tools out there for self-check, for self-improvement, for understanding, and maybe My Strength has something out there that you can look up to. Let's see. Find a lot of companies these days. Let me put that up on the include resources for mental health and their benefits. He's in Canada, So at least in Canada, that's why things, the way things are trending. Yeah, that's true. Some mental health benefits are better than others. I moved my setup around, so now I've got both cameras right here, but yet my computer's over here, so I guess I need to shift everything in the same plane so it just doesn't look like I'm staring down at my computer all the time. Yeah, hold on for 1 second. Little adjustment. Move you guys over here. It's a quick. There. Still look like I'm looking down at the computer all the time, but that's all right. And then you guys kind of have to angle in this way. Yeah, the availability of mental health benefits hasn't been as good as it is now, that's for sure. And some are better than others. Like, I found that one of the insurances that we were using before, they offered a mental health benefit, and turns out that they were only paying about 15 or 20 bucks worth of the counseling bill that I was going through. So there's some that are better than others, that's for sure. All right. Well, the new setup is in an L shape, so I've got my desk that was, well, desk. It's a table, just like this one over here. Table that everything was set up on because my desk is torn apart and wrapped up for the move. I added another table, and I put my monitor, which is a television, on the other side with the Xbox, and I have the computer and everything over here, so I actually have some room to move around and work and not knock everything over. Yeah. So the NAMI convention, one and a half days essentially, and it's a huge schedule. If I could bring it all up on the screen, I would, but can't even, my phone even locks up the schedule so large. There's 2 different tracks. There's one listed as getting help early, 2, getting the best possible care, 3, getting diverted from justice system involvement. There's actually another track. Let's see if I can trick it into showing me. Yep, here we go. Research and updates, and then there's one for youth. So there's actually 5 different tracks. So I'm probably going to go for the getting help early mix of that and getting the best possible care. We'll see what we can find on classes for that. Let me look in our actual Twitch tab to make sure that we're coming through decently. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the sound there. No feedback. Other than that, that's the those are the tracks that I'm considering, and they start Pacific time, no, Eastern time at 10:30, which is like 8:30 on the 13th and the 14th. 8:30 my time. Yeah. the actual classes themselves don't start until noon Eastern time, so like 10 o'clock probably be the more likely candidate for my purposes. Just checking, making sure that we have a decent looking stream, and it looks like we do so far. If we could just get a few more people over on Twitch that were actually talking, that would be awesome. Gonna come back to the main screen. So, let's go back to what we usually do when we start out, which is checking my front screen at Google for whatever news that seems interesting. Alright. Crowds flock to downtown Disney reopening at Disneyland despite long lines and employee health concerns. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Disney began the phased reopening of its famed Anaheim Park today, with the shopping district fronting the Disneyland Resort downtown Disney businesses opened at 10 a.m. And even before then, the line to get in spilled down the sidewalk. The picture that they show of the line, the groups are about 6 feet apart, so that might be another reason why it's spilling down the sidewalk or down the street. Safety precautions being implemented at the reopening include temperature screenings prior to entry, face coverings for guests ages 2 and older, physical distancing measures, physical barriers at select locations, and the shopping district will also see reduced hours, increased focus on cleaning and sanitation, and the suspension of entertainment offerings in high-touch interactive areas. That was from Deadline.com. It was dated yesterday, obviously, because it's not even 10 o'clock in California yet. I just don't know if it's, I don't know if entertainment is worth it. Minutes after opening, the World of Disney store in downtown Disney was mobbed by non-socially distanced throngs, scooping up armfuls of plush toys, kids' backpacks, and Disney-branded sweatshirts. What is the draw for all of a sudden expensive merchandise? Wow. I mean, I love Disney, you know. Let's see. So, Made Canadian Twitch. Because I found a lot of stores here in Canada are starting to get really lazy with COVID restrictions. It can be rather stressful. At times, yes. I know that's complacency is the worst as far as hygienic situations. You know, you do something repetitively so many times during a day that people just start to zone out while they're doing it, I guess. And you can't do that in this situation. You just can't. They need to rotate who's cleaning and who's not, I guess, to try to make it not such a mundane task. break up the monotony, because it's one of the few things that can slow the spread of this virus. I mean, the big concern as a healthcare provider is how many services are going to be available if the system gets overwhelmed. And prior to this happening, even most large hospitals, let's say they had, I don't know, 2 ICUs with 10 rooms each, I doubt if most of the major hospitals that I have worked around, at least in Utah, I doubt they had more than, I don't even think that they had 20 vents. They didn't have one per room, for sure. They didn't just hang around, not used in rooms. It's not like it's normal equipment that was stocked in every room. It wasn't until we moved to the Middle East that we saw in the Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi, where my wife worked, that they had a vent in every room. And then they had their travel vents too. So then there were the specialty vents. I mean, that was, we thought that was overkill at the time, you know. I guess they were ahead of their time a little bit. Our friend Reggie still works in Abu Dhabi, and she popped in the stream every once in a while. But man, that's the big thing, is availability of equipment, availability of personnel, and safety equipment for all of the employees. I mean, the surgical masks that you see everyone wearing that are disposable paper masks, we took those off our face and threw them away every time we came out of a room. Now, a lot of facilities are still having them wear them for, well, until they're visibly soiled, which is, to me, ridiculous. If it's visibly soiled, it's past time for it to be thrown away. But yeah, availability of equipment, availability of personnel, and the way to protect the personnel are the 3 difficulties in all of the healthcare situations. And it's just something that I don't want to think about, because that adds stress to me. My wife's on the front lines in Florida right now, working for a hospital, and haven't run into equipment issues yet, but not that she's told me about anyway. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Let's scroll down and let's change topics again, I think. Something from Greek City Times. 87-year-old great-grandmother graduates with a nursing degree. She looks like the stereotypical Greek grandmother. She says, "Today I won what I dreamed of." She holds her nursing assistant certificate. Nursing assistant. Yeah. Well, and I mean, it says graduates with nursing degree, but then it says nursing assistant. So there's like certified nursing assistants. Still, that's an accomplishment at 87, but it's not an actual nursing degree, like 2 years full-time college kind of a situation. I always liked books. Whatever fell into my hands, I always read with interest, she continued. Today, Sultana has 4 children, 6 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren, but her love of books and desire to finish school has not faded over time. Okay. Yeah, that's a weird article. I'm not gonna finish reading that one. All right. FDA warns against using 24 hand sanitizer that could contain toxic wood alcohol. From CNN. FDA has added more hand sanitizers to its growing list of products that contain wood alcohol, which is toxic if absorbed through the skin. More than 24 variations of hand sanitizers sold by the Mexico-based company 4E Global, many carrying the Blumen label, B-L-U-M-E-N label, contain high levels of methanol or wood alcohol and have been recommended for recall. The FDA said it's been seen an increase in the products containing ethanol, also known as ethyl alcohol, and that tested positive for potentially poisonous methanol contamination, which can be life-threatening if ingested. Yeah, I don't know about it actually being absorbed through the skin. You'd have to look at what the FDA list says. Yeah, good for her at her age. About the last article, Nate Canadian says maybe I can't relate because I despise school. Yeah, school was rather arduous for me as well. Not that big of a fan. Now, you can, let me look at the captions here. So I do have a Discord along with everybody else and their dog. So some of the links and things I throw into the Discord, plus some of the articles that I'm going to read are going to be directly off of the Discord. I saved them the other day that I thought were interesting. Wood alcohol is used in antifreeze and fuel production. Exposure can cause nausea, headaches, dizziness, agitation, amnesia, coma, and seizures, according for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Proper hand hygiene is effective response for the COVID-19 virus, the CDC says, and the agency recommends using alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% ethanol, pure ethanol, not methanol, but ethanol, and 70% or 70% isopropyl alcohol. So what we did to make our handmade sanitizer is we got 2 large bottles of the isopropyl alcohol that were at yep, let's see. Yep, you have a good day too, man. And a large bottle, a similar volume as to one of the alcohol bottles, and we with aloe vera, and we mixed the aloe vera for the moisturizing capability of the skin with 2 bottles of the isopropyl alcohol, and it lasts a good long time. So yeah, that was our homemade hand sanitizer recipe. Um, but yeah, methanol. Um, I don't know what the concentration would have to be for you to absorb it through your skin, but the CDC, or the FDA, sorry, has a list of toxic products. So FDA.gov, I look for their list over there. Google Maps tests showing traffic lights in the U.S. Only on Android for now. In a new test, Google Maps is showing the location of traffic lights in cities around the U.S. on its Android app. Let's see. Does 68% alcohol with aloe moisture work as efficiently as the 80%? The World Health Organization recommends like 70 to 80. Yeah, the isopropyl that we got was, I wanted to say it was 80, 89, 88%. They do come in different strengths, so I'd recommend getting the highest strength isopropyl that you can find, and using the aloe vera as a mix, because it's both alcohol and water soluble. Nothing beats decent hand washing, but at the same time you can keep smaller bottles of your larger supply in cars, in your pocket, in your purse, whatever, when you're out and about, to use until you can get to a water source. So yeah, I know it needs to be at least, they say at least 60%, but that's pretty weak. I definitely would go closer to the 80 or 91. I know you can find 91% isopropyl out there too. Yeah, I have little bottles that were everywhere in our clinic here in town. The little bottles that they would like hand out, have the hospital's logo on them, and they're like throwing them at people at first when we got here 3 years ago. And they're everywhere, and then this starts to happen, and now they're all gone, and nobody knows when they'll get another supply of them out. I have those little bottles, and I just refill them here in the house and put them back in my truck. We have like a 20-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer and a pump in our car, and that's with my wife in Florida. So, but yeah, I mean, having the right kind of supply available is the key, and I think that a lot of places are back to normal stocks. People may not be hoarding as much. I don't know. Our Walmart here goes in cycles. We had a few bare shelves yesterday when my son and I went shopping. But mainly that, I think, was due to the 4th of July holiday weekend, because a lot of the stuff that we normally use or we're hunting for is what was missing. I'm Trying to take a look at the see, everybody saying good morning in a different Discord. Gotcha. Flip that onto, and just for some reason Discord's last update won't allow me to just have microphone on without hearing other people's voice. So I was going to transmit the mental health chat through the Discord, but I don't want to inadvertently get some, well, I guess I have actually got the speakers. I don't want to risk somebody transmitting something that I can't control out there either, though. Make sure I'm disconnected. There we go. Let's see. I find the hardest thing to get a hold of is the Lysol wipes. Stores are having a hard time keeping those in stock. Now that I've seen videos online, I just don't know how well they would really work. Because people were taking larger tubs that they had their wipes in and pulling the tube out of the center of like paper towel rolls that would fit inside of that tub, and using an alcohol mixture in place of like Lysol or Clorox wipes. So yeah, I actually have a small supply of those. I haven't had to try to locate those, but yeah, that might be an issue too. So the first, I don't know, week or so that everybody was rushing to the stores for like toilet paper and other sanitation supplies and whatnot, and clearing off shelves, we went to our local store here that hadn't been really hit yet, and bought like a gigantic 40, I think it's like 48 roll pack of toilet paper. We have hardly put a dent in that, it seems. I mean, it seemed like we were always buying toilet paper constantly. We do use the flushable wipes too, which is not popular with everybody, but yeah, the ones that we use, they definitely disintegrate in water. It's not BS, so we like them. I think we go through more of those than we do the toilet paper now. I don't know, but they get used for everything, you know, in the bathroom, and get thrown into the waste paper basket too. But yeah, all right, well, let's see here. So Google Maps was showing locations of traffic lights. Testing maps features on Android show the location of traffic lights in select cities. They're not the first mapping app to show traffic light locations. Why is that necessarily helpful? Instead of telling you after a certain number of feet, sir, it can now tell you to turn left at the next traffic light. All right. I mean, I guess that's helpful. I don't know. It seems, I don't even use the voice feature at all. I use my eyeballs. And if I drive past it, I turn around and I go back. Anyway, good times. Let's See what else. Friday's coronavirus updates for Florida. 11,433 new cases with 93 new deaths reported in Florida for July 10th. Well, the July 10th report anyway. As of 11 a.m. on Friday, there have been 244,151 positive cases for coronavirus recorded in the state of Florida. That count includes 240,710 Florida residents and 3,351 non-residents. There are 4,102 Florida resident deaths reported and 101 non-resident deaths. 17,602 hospitalizations, according to the Florida Health Department. And there have been 2,423,992 tests administered in Florida as of 11 o'clock this morning Eastern Time. And 244,151, as said before, have come back positive. But they don't need to mandate wearing masks in public. They don't need to have any additional regulation. We don't need to regulate what businesses do beyond what they've already done. Capitalism at its best. Kelsey is on Facebook. Hi there, friend. The virus is getting bad here. Getting worried for my parents. Yeah. Are they in Florida too, Kelsey? Yeah. Governor DeSantis is an idiot in my personal opinion. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we can do is the least exposure possible, you know. I don't know. I mean, Governor DeSantis obviously isn't that worried about it because, you know, he's nice and safe wherever he is all the time. Cares more about, yep, he's catering to Trump and then taking care of all of the elderly people here. Yeah, I mean, they're opening COVID-only nursing homes in Florida, I read, and other states. I mean, talk about a specific niche market. Yeah. I just don't know what else has to happen in these states where they're having these huge numbers. I mean, that person that I talked about in my last stream, that my wife overheard an aisle over in the store. Just these humongous, weird, misinformed lies that people are just talking about like everyday conversation. And I mean, accusing like Ellen DeGeneres of lethal injection. You know, oh, all those people they didn't die from this virus. They were injected, some of them personally by Ellen DeGeneres. But you know, I feel sad, but they're all going to hell anyway. I'm just like, what? What? She says, yeah, I didn't. She says, I knew. She said she knew if she went around the corner to figure out which one of them the idiot was, that it just wouldn't turn out well. So she just removed herself from the situation. But the blind stupidity of some people's children is amazing to me. Oh, yeah. So, and once again, capitalism works if there are people around to make money and to spend money. But if the only place they are spending money is on a hospital bill where they go bankrupt, that's still going to cripple the economy. I don't understand. And like Fee, it's okay. You're fine. Do you need some loving? Again? You just had some. We just did this. Come here. We just did this. We started off the stream with ear rubs and loving. Oh my gosh. Do the chest rub. Oh my gosh. Alright. There's the doggo. There we go. There's some loving. Squishy face. Squishy face. Where's it? Want a squeeze? Yeah. Need a squeeze? Oh. There. Okay. We good? Yeah. Do you want to go outside? All right. I'm gonna take her outside. I'll be back. I'll come back and I'll catch your comments. Okay. Hold on for just a second. Straight here. Take this opportunity to refill the coffee mug too. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Let me go back. catch up on what was being said on Facebook. So Sarah says, wish our healthcare system was more like Canada's, so it would be included in our taxes and not a separate entity. Definitely. Kelsey agrees, says exactly, I shouldn't have to pay our out-of-pocket to get spinal fluid drained so that she can see. She has a medical condition where she overproduces cerebrospinal fluid. Yeah, shouldn't have to choose between buying food or food for the family. That's true. Sarah says it's all money motivated by businessmen and caring about the whole population, or the population as a whole. Yeah, I mean, there are other benefits that other countries have that we don't, but at the same time, there is a cost to it, and some things I think would be worth it. I mean, it really would. Sorry, I didn't eat breakfast before all of this started. But, yeah. The dog over there is very anxious today for some reason. Kind of driving me a little bit crazy. All right. So, for those of you that do watch Twitch, it'd be great if you went over and followed me on Twitch. This will pop up under chatting and podcasts, I believe. So I need 4 more followers and at least 5 people actively chatting to meet my next goal. To be able to monetize the stream. That way, anything that anybody wanted to contribute through Twitch can go there, and we put it towards the stream equipment that we're buying here in the next couple of months. Bot Bomb's over on Twitch too. Appreciate you. But yeah, that's the numbers in Florida are scaring me, you know, but if you are doing good hand hygiene, yeah, I don't want that. My music. There we go. If you're doing good hand hygiene, if you're wearing a mask when it's appropriate, if you're social distancing, it will slow the flow. It might not necessarily prevent it, but hopefully. All right, Sarah over on Facebook. Sorry guys, over here. There's more action going on Facebook right now. Our educational system was more affordable for those entering. There wouldn't be such a shortage of healthcare workers. My son has speech 2 times a week during the summer and 3 times during school. And it is, let me expand it, immensely hard to find speech pathologists near me. Yeah. Hello, Bot Mom. How are you guys doing with the whole moving situation? Is your wife liking it there so far? Yes. My wife is liking it. She's at work for the next 3 days, and then she's going to try to start finding a place next week for, from mid-August on. The place that she's in now, the guy has like 6 manufactured homes in a trailer park that he rents out. They probably all have for sale signs in front of them too, but so she had ordered a pizza the other night, contactless delivery. Pizza Hut guy comes up, he knocks on the door, she just yells, "Thank you, I'll grab it." And then he knocks on the door again, and she's like, I'm on the phone with her. He's like, "Well, hold on." And then she's like gone for like 5 minutes. Well, it was an older delivery driver, and he wanted to ask about the house since it had a for sale sign in front of it. It's like, I requested contactless delivery. Vern, I see you over here on Twitch as well, and I see you going around back and forth. I better scroll up on Facebook. I get behind on Facebook sometimes. But yeah, ordered contactless delivery for both her benefit and for theirs. She's a healthcare worker, so she hasn't tested positive, but there's a possibility that she could be carrying this. And he was an elderly delivery driver who wasn't wearing a mask at the time, I think. I can't remember if she said he was or wasn't, but I mean, when you specifically order contactless delivery and have already paid for everything, there's no need for, call the number on the sign and ask about it. It's not her house. He didn't know that, but still, it's irritating. But what else is going on with you guys? Anything in particular that you want to chat about other than the stupidity of different government situations? Vern Morris, trying to share and see if we can't get some more followers. And again, I'm having computer issues. I'm sorry, Vern, your computer acts like my laptop sometimes. My laptop doesn't want to participate some days. I've cleaned it off. I've tried to pay it a little bit more attention, keep it as dust-free as possible. But Colorado, at least on the western slope here, has been one of the dustiest places that I've ever lived. Dust accumulates like in a day here. And I mean, I lived in the desert in United Arab Emirates, and it wasn't as dusty as it is here. Let me find one of our Discord topics that I had picked, or I had saved to Discord anyway. It's not a Discord topic per se. Okay, just saved it over here. So let's see. Baseball season trying to start up I think it's next week. It was in the Denver Post that Ubaldo Jimenez was surprised when the Rockies cut him loose, and he doesn't plan to retire. I mean, he's 36 years old, I believe. Let me pull up the article. Veteran right-hander Ubaldo Jimenez says he was caught off guard when the Rockies decided to not include him in their 60-player pool for the shortened 2020 season, adding that he wants another chance to pitch in the major leagues. Says, "No, I'm not thinking about retirement at 36. I've been blessed with a healthy arm, and I still have a lot of passion for the game. Thus, I believe it is God's will, and I will play in the major leagues. I don't know if it's God's will that you play in the major leagues, but it's a good thing that you're healthy. Yeah. So their shortened 2020 season, the whole baseball thing. I don't even know if they're still going to sell tickets. It's not. They were going to have players together without fans. Ugh. All right. Crazy RNU over on Twitch says the topic of mental health seems to be a taboo subject, as if to speak of mental duress will cause people to become mentally ill. Exactly. This is far from the truth. Speaking of something that does not have a causative effect. Education is the key to prevention, and thus, key to prevention. And yes, there will be those who are curious that drives them to try out what is spoken of. However, mental health issues are not caused by talking about them, and to help those suffering. Seasoned, you're doing something that many people are afraid of. Yep, I am, and some days I feel it more than others. Some days the posts that come through that I don't read out loud, that I don't throw up on the screen, they're kind of weird, and I don't know whether it's to try to get me to say what they want and put it out over the internet, when they could just, make their own stream and be weird on their stream, or if it's, hey, you're making me incredibly uncomfortable, so I'm going to try to make you uncomfortable enough to not talk about this. I don't know. And I tried at first just doing gaming streams, and anytime I would bring up mental health topics, I mean, even just mentioning them for like 2 or 3 sentences, I had people that were watching me that would leave in droves. And so it's like, all right, I'm trying to force 2 things together that might not go together. My love of gaming to de-stress works for me, but talking about mental health issues on stream and trying to get people to understand them better, or at least see them from the point of view of someone who has mental health issues, is totally, they were totally foreign. And I thought, well, I felt a little bit betrayed by the gaming community, because there's a good portion of gamers that have mental health issues, and hence the reason why they sequester themselves and just play games, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that have mental health issues that are gamers, and the stream, though it's entertainment, it's a different form of entertainment. It's something that is getting larger and larger. But to bring out those taboo subjects, and some people, I think, felt as though it was tainting their love of streaming, or their love of the entertainment part, that it's supposed to be an escape and not a reminder that they have issues. I don't know. I'm reaching, because nobody communicated those things. Nobody said, hey, I don't want to have enough issues. I watch streams to get away from my issues. I don't want to hear about your issues. I mean, nobody would do even that courtesy. So I don't know. So this has come about based on that. I've got more feedback in the last 3 streams of doing this than I have the prior 6 months of streaming and gaming and only mentioning it every once in a while. Over on Mixer, I had 70-something followers, and none of them consistent, mind you, but no feedback, hardly any feedback. The most common feedback I get is the kind of feedback that I've got from some DLive people, no offense, DLive, but hey, I'm following you, I contributed this much of site currency, follow me back. You know, I don't know. You know what I'm doing. I'm chatting live on screen and trying to speak to people wherever they are. I don't know what you do, so no, I'm not going to automatically say, sure, I'll follow you, because I don't need my feed when I pull it up to read everything clogged up with streams that I would never watch. So, no, those of you that are on Twitch or former Mixers, because this is still going over to Mixer, soon to be rest in peace Mixer, and over on YouTube as well, that game. If I'm following you, it's because I find you interesting. I find your stream something of worth. I don't just follow somebody to give them a follow. And I don't want people to follow me just to give me a follow. I want them to find me interesting. And if they don't find me interesting, then don't follow. My objective in all of this is to get information out on mental health issues, give people my take on mental health issues, what it's like to have a mental illness, and share it from a patient point of view, be a peer-to-peer support person, and say, hey, you know, if you're having issues with this in mental health, try finding another provider, give it another try. If you've only tried this particular therapy, well, you know what, there's about 5 other therapies that are available. Find a different provider that does more than one thing. Because I had one counselor, she was a nice person. She only did EMDR stuff with trauma patients. So eye movement, what are they? Eye movement disassociation therapy or redirection. Let's see. Myrtle, I'll catch up with your comment off of Twitch in just a minute. She was great, but she only had that particular tool in her basket, and at that time it wasn't working for me, and she only had certain ways of implementing that, and part of it was she was trying to build a network in my mind that every time that I would use this particular technique, that I would think of these 3 people and they would serve this particular role. You know, one was a protector, one was a comforter, and one was something else. And I did not have at my disposal at that point in time 3 people that I could put into those roles. I did not have anyone outside of my spouse that I was associating with, that I felt that I could, even in my brain, put in those roles, except for one was a family member and one was my spouse. And so she just couldn't get past that particular thing, and so she kept trying to force it into different directions, which just made me more frustrated. So I quit going to her, because that was the only that was the only option that she had at the time. But yeah, so it was frustrating and difficult for me. But just the fact that she only had so many tools in her basket, she could have redirected me to someone else. Says, you know what, this is my experience, this is what I think will work, but since you are saying that it doesn't work, we should send you to someone else, and here's a list of people. But she was a private provider, and she was initially on my wife's insurance plan. She was one of like 3 people that dealt with trauma, and the other 2 weren't accepting patients at the time. So anyway, so yeah, anyway, it was difficult at the time to try to, you know, have therapy for a person that only had so many, you know, one tool to apply, and she tried to apply it 15 different ways, and it just didn't work. So now I'm going to go back up and catch up with Vern's comment here. Let me read real quick. So I can't show all of that on the screen. So on January 16th, 2020, I built this brick wall, made it strong, made it thick, three bricks wide and 8 feet tall. No one was going to knock it down. Built it thick, made this wall the strongest brick behind my wall. I seek to hide, afraid of what is there is inside my fort of brick. I abide once, I did not hide. I did my job with a smile on my face. That smile, it was a lie to hide the pain I felt inside. Deep within the bricks, they began to build this wall. Yeah. 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 I agree. So the EMDR is eye movement disassociation and reassociation therapy, EMDR. So I guess the difficulty I have is the EMD. I was a medical dispatcher at one point in time too, so EMD pops into my head and I can't get past. I'm like emergency medical dispatcher. So anyway, so yeah, I can sense the pain as you read it. We all have our walls. Yep, that's true. Yeah, definitely. There's one particular site that I'm going to be deactivating off of here because it's nothing but a waste of time and energy. Because I keep getting bombarded on my stream, and they can see it on their side, but you guys can't see it because I don't share what they're saying. So that's also slowing stuff down. Anyway, so I wished that I could be doing something other than sitting here staring at two
cameras and reading off of the chat to keep my mind going too, and give you something other than this to look at. But so far, I think we're doing pretty good with this. I keep fidgeting with my beard today, just throwing me off a little bit. But considering that 2/3 of our house is in boxes and stacks of things right now, I think that this actually is coming together pretty good. The Discord channel that we have, those of you that do have Discord, once you join Discord, I will give you permissions in the different channels. And if you have content to put in, try to make sure that you're keeping on topic, or if you're starting a new topic that doesn't fit into one of the doesn't fit into the category that you're in, send me a Discord message and maybe we'll create another channel. That way we have Discord in common, even if we're over on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or Mixer until the 22nd, DLive. At least we will have one particular place that everybody can text, everybody can talk, and eventually we can put the voice chat on there, and I can invite individuals to chat, and we'll see if it will be picked up on the restream or if it won't. We'll have to see. I mean, it will sound more like a radio talk show, which is completely fine, because that's the way that this kind of feels. It kind of has a vibe with that. And that's a format that I'm comfortable with. As long as y'all are comfortable with it. These forced instant messages. There we go. Moving is very stressful, Bot Mom. It's so this morning, Kathy, my wife, sent me a message. She's like, "Oh, I forgot the surgical caps, and so I need to find them and send them to her." All right. I said, "Well, where are they? Are they in a basket? That's why you forgot them, or are they in a box?" Or she's like, "They're in a box, one with my handwriting on it." So now there's a lot of boxes, and probably 20% of them have her handwriting on them, and so now I'll have to go find her surgical caps and try to send them to her. I guess it gives me an opportunity to reorganize stuff and maybe even condense it down some, because if the box isn't full, I wouldn't tape it shut. But that way I know that it's not going to get crushed in the truck. So that way I guess I can exert my my will upon the move even more than it already is, I guess. But anyway, how is this going for you guys so far? I mean, we covered a lot of stuff again today. None of it really planned out, but let me know what you think. You can send a message in the chat. Bot Mom, I'm jealous of your coffee because I currently have none. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah, I'm a coffee snob too. I mean, not necessarily brand wise. If I find one that I like, then I use it. But I mean, we usually buy whole beans and I grind them every morning and make the coffee. It's part of the ritual. And that's uh, something that my daughter enjoys. And she mentioned it one time she was visiting here. She goes, "This is what I miss about our mornings." I'm like, "What's that?" And she's like, you get up, you make coffee, you make, I made her a cup of coffee, and we would sit and talk before we'd take them off to school, or I'd make a cup of coffee, make one to go for her, and I'd take them off to school. Um, it all started with her drinking my coffee while I was taking them on the way to school, and I would be going back home to make another cup. And it's not like it's a huge drive at the time either, um, but that was part of our morning stuff. And so each time she comes to visit, I make coffee, and I try to, if she's up and about, I make her a cup of coffee, and it just starts our day. Same thing with my wife. I get up, I make coffee, and she's like, I don't know what's different about it, but if you make it, it tastes different than if I make it. And, I get that. It's not the same if somebody else does it, but yet at the same time, we will go to a restaurant or whatever, and we have their coffee, and we enjoy more about the conversation, about the time spent, than necessarily we remember the coffee, I guess. But let's see. Coffee is important, thought Mom. Yes. So it's always much better when someone you love makes it for you. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And I mean, and they're both right. My daughter and my wife were both right that it kind of like back scratches. Yeah, it's never quite the same, if somebody else, if you're doing it for yourself. Um, but yeah, I don't know what I did differently or what I do differently, but it does taste different when I make it versus when they make it too. It's not. I don't know what's better or worse. It's just different. But anyway, yeah, I just had some other little articles of time wasters on hand, but we're good. Anything that anybody else can think of that they would like to talk about, would like to have questions answered if I could? So I can go through a couple of our other little bit of time wasters here. One of the websites that I follow is Nerdist, Nerdist.com, and they had an article that now you can Rickroll your Zoom meeting. Article written by Eric Diaz. It said most memes on the internet have a very short shelf life, but one that never seems to go away is being Rickrolled. Never gonna give you up song. One of two hits that he had in the 80s. Yes, he had two hits. It started as a prank in 2007 on the internet and has not gone away. So now, apparently, if you go to inviterick.com, you can put in the link to your Zoom meeting, and it will tell you what time
Rick will arrive for 15 seconds into your Zoom meeting before he automatically disconnects. Yeah. So until Zoom overthrows inviteRick.com, you can have Rick pop into your boring Zoom meeting for 15 seconds and disrupt the flow a little bit, or redirect it for a second. Yeah. So I have an Xbox. That's my platform that I've been using for gaming for years. And even when I have the PC, I will still be playing Xbox games, and I will still be doing live capture with a capture card for a good number of games if I'm streaming them. Not sure if I'm going to be getting the Series X until the price comes down. We don't even know what the price is yet. But apparently, Microsoft, this article from GamesIndustry.biz, says Microsoft reportedly against publishers charging for Xbox Series X upgrades. So if you already have a game that you've purchased on the platform and they want to bring the same game across with written for Xbox X, Microsoft is not allowing a platform or a game to charge to rebuy that game. So if you had Red Dead Redemption 2 and Rockstar puts out a second game just for the Xbox X, they're not letting you get charged for the Xbox X version of it, which I like. I mean, put out a different game, sure, but they're not allowing them to charge you a second time for the same game. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I still wish that I'm gonna start streaming with the PC once I get it. I'm probably even gonna build it in one of the chats, I think. So we'll chat while I'm putting it together and see if I get it together correctly, and people can give me their input. Those of you that have built PCs in the past. Great. I'm not doing anything too extravagant. I'm not putting in a water cooling system because I've never done that. I'm not going to do that with my very first stream computer build. But okay. Bot Mom is asking from over on Twitch. It'll only show a short bit of it. Why do you think people with anxiety tend to procrastinate or put things off? I've read that this is common behavior, and do you have any possible coping mechanisms for that? Because obviously putting things off makes anxiety 1,000 times worse. And makes things worse. We start to build up. I'm a master at getting overwhelmed with small things and shutting down completely. Yep. People with anxiety tend to make lists. It's actually holding yourself to the list that makes things, makes it effective to actually be making lists in the first place. So figure out what it is about that thing that you're procrastinating about and try to break it down into simpler sections. If, let's take, for example, all right, I've got to go to the grocery store. I've got to buy these 10 things, and then I need to be back home by this time. So if you have to set a time frame that you have to be back by, or you have to have this done by, you break that down into smaller sections. Say, all right, I'm going to get the kids ready, and I'm going to take them over to my mom's. I'm going to only spend 15 minutes over at my mom's house. No more, less if possible, because I'm going to go get this done. So that's one thing to tick off the list. I'm going to go to the store. If I need to sit in the parking lot, listen to a couple of songs on the radio, I'm going to do that. And then I can tick that off the list. You go in, make a concerted effort to get these 5 things in the basket first, because I know exactly where they are. I don't have to search around for them. I can do that. Then I'm going to make sure that everything that I need on the list that's not going to go bad is in the cart first. That way, if I have to take a break, go wander around electronics for 10 minutes while I'm calming myself down because I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to get these last 3 things in the cart that are refrigerated that I know that will go bad. I'm going to get them in there and get to checkouts, and you know what, I think I'm going to do my own checkout. One less person to touch my stuff. And so these are things that mentally that I do now without actually having to write them down, or or put it in my phone. Okay, I can check that off the list. Have mental lists. But if it gets to the point where you're in the middle of that task and it's like, okay, am I at a point now where I can stop doing what I'm doing and come back to it because I'm starting to lose my ability to process, or do I have to finish this? And I find that if I push myself just a little bit past that comfort point each time, it gets easier and less anxious to finish doing what I'm doing. So that anxiety point where you're like, okay, if I do this, I feel like I'm going to die. You push yourself up to that point and you wait for 30 seconds, and more than likely you're still going to be alive. So that comfort point gets pushed a little bit, and so now you have a new comfort point. It might take a couple of days to back off and relax after you've pushed your limits, but you can, one way to progress, especially with anxiety, is to push yourself just a little bit farther, but not over the edge. And even if you feel as though you went over the edge, I mean, what really happened? So if I was at the store in our little town and I have an anxiety or a panic attack, I'm in a community of 2,500 people. A lot more people are gonna, and I'm a fairly distinct person. I don't look like everybody else. So I know that more people that know me will have seen me have a panic attack at the store. But people that know me here now know that I really don't care what they think of that situation. They should actually be more helpful than worrying about, oh wow, that's that guy that freaked out at the grocery store. Now, freaking out is another subjective term. Guy that left his grocery cart in the middle of the store and the ice cream melted and ran all over the floor and he said nothing. Okay, that's distinctive, right? But chances are my freak out is I left the cart in the middle of the store and I walked out and I didn't come back. Earth shattering, right? But if I am down at the Walmart at the larger town 45 minutes away in either direction, nobody knows me there, chances are. I might run into some people from town, but there's a lot more people around and I blend in a little bit more. If you live where you live, Kelsey, I'm sure that you see people when you go out that you'll never see again. And think of it that way. It's like, who cares what these people think? I am completing my checklist as I go along, and I'm living my best life, and they can have their opinions, I guess. Does that make sense? Does that help? I mean, breaking everything down into smaller steps is the easiest thing to do. Morning Rebel, my daughter. This is her. That's what I got. Keep getting stuff from other channels in Discord. I might end up having to close that. I manage the channel for one of the streamers on Twitch, and so I'm getting notifications from that channel, which I'm fine with. Being able to break stuff down into smaller chunks makes things easier for me, makes a task more doable, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment once you make it that far. And the feeling of, well, I think that I will die if I do this. Well, once you get there and you are doing that task, if you're waiting there like, okay, I can't stand this anymore, remove yourself from that situation. Don't go all the way back to the first part of the list or not starting the list. Go back a step, take a break, and then go back to your list again. Once you've realized that 2 minutes have passed or 30 seconds have passed and you didn't die, that's usually what I do. Still uncomfortable, still not the best feeling in the world, but finishing that task it feels like a big accomplishment. And so, you know, that's the way that I break it down in my head. So Vern has sent me some possible topics to talk about, and one of the questions was what helps you deal with your issues. That somebody being able to point out to me the one exercise that I did with the first therapist that really kind of helped me was, okay, there's a situation where I'm walking down one side of the street and the therapist is walking down the other side of the street. The therapist doesn't make eye contact with me, doesn't acknowledge my presence, and just keeps walking. And I kept walking after, you know, trying to get their attention. Now, without verbal contact, just trying to, you know, doing the wave, trying to get acknowledgement, but the therapist on the other side of the street just keeps walking. Um, how does that make you feel? If that was you, how does that make you feel? What are some reasons? I mean, that makes you feel anxious. Here's this support person that doesn't give you any acknowledgement, that just keeps on walking. What are some valid reasons for that? It's like, oh, let me think about how, I responded that, wow, what did I do? What did I do? Why didn't I get acknowledged? Why doesn't she say anything to me? That's just strange. Makes me feel uncomfortable, makes me feel like, oh, well, what happens now when I go to my next appointment? Is the way that I responded. So what are some things that I could think of as reasons from the therapist's point of view? It's like patient confidentiality. Okay, that was the first thing that I thought of after my discomfort of not being acknowledged. It's like, I'm just trying to maintain confidentiality, blah, 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 all these complex things. And she's like, well, how about that she didn't see me? Did that ever occur? I mean, sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer. Maybe she just didn't see me. Maybe she's involved in her own head and just kept doing her own life because she's not in the office and she has a life too. And she actually did that in public once. After I was not her patient anymore. I said hi and was prepared to stop and have a conversation. She says hello and kept going. Okay. So she put into practice the very first day, what she had talked about. All right, let's see. You need to keep trying things until you find what works for you. Sometimes you have to walk away from the situation because of what you're doing is hard at the moment. Yeah. For me, like I said, pushing myself just that next little bit helped me. It's like stay in the discomfort for a little bit longer than you think that you can stand, and then take a break, regather yourself, and see if you're able to continue. And I found that the more often I did that, the more I completed things, the more I was able to be out there doing stuff, and the better I felt, maybe completely after everything was done, but maybe not during that event. But allow yourself to go back and think about, you know what, I accomplished that today. And maybe in the next few days, when you're feeling down about this or that, you can think back, but hey, I did that. I finished that. I can do this that I don't want to do because I was able to do that. If that makes sense. That way you're able to, I don't know, having a sense of accomplishment helped me out immensely. I mean, a ton. What led you to leave your profession? I stuck in EMS for probably way too long. And I'm glad to say that I didn't have any medication errors. I didn't harm anyone that I'm aware of. There's been no repercussions from treatments that I did that have been brought to my attention. So I was lucky that way. But because I was pushing myself in that career field for so long, I started having larger memory lapses because I was putting myself under so much stress that I would have memory gaps. And to try to do paperwork after you've had some event where your brain is basically telling you this is too much, you're not going to want to remember this for now. That began happening long ago, but it got more and more frequent, and I didn't like it, and it should not happen. And so I decided that it would be best, even though people in the community that I live in, people that got me back into EMS even after I had left it to move, well, I left it to go to barber school, actually, to try to completely change the career field and do something that I thought would allow my creative side to come out more often. And I didn't finish that before I moved to the Middle East with my wife, who helped to open a Western care model hospital, one of the first Western care models for cardiac and neuro care in the Middle East. And so with all my issues that I was already having, I moved to the Middle East, where in my mind I was able to justify how anxious and anxiety and everything there was because of safety. You know, everything's fine. I'm heightenedly aware of everything because I'm trying to be safe. Well, I was in like the Europe of the Middle East. I mean, this was Middle East light. Yeah, it is a Muslim society, but they're so accepting of Western culture that as long as I'm not interfering with their culture, we coexist. So that's why I left my profession, is because I was not feeling as though I could continue to perform at a level that I needed to, and be safe at the same time while working with people that I didn't have paramedic partners, I had EMT partners. They're experienced EMTs, but being in a rural situation with longer transport times and complex patients, it would have been a recipe for disaster if I would have kept doing it. Kelsey over on Facebook says, my old therapist asked me once how I remember things, and almost all of the memories are recorded in a third person point of view. Apparently that's not normal though. Well, having an external view of oneself sometimes can be capable, but if it's always your view of you're living outside of yourself, that is kind of complicated. That's interesting. I've not heard that, like I said, but once again, for everybody else that might be watching or listening, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. I am a medical person, but it has nothing to do with mental health. A respiratory therapist and a paramedic who is self-retired. And I'm a mental health advocate because I'm a mental health patient and a person with mental illness that I'll have for the rest of my life. So, disclaimer aside, yeah, that's a very complicated point of view, to have everything in a third person as a memory. I've not heard that before. That is interesting. Let's see. Topics, suggestions. Let's see, it's actually more common than many people will admit. The third person point of view. So, oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted to show. There we go. More common than people will admit. This is Vern, and Vern's still doing a lot of research in mental health issues and post-traumatic stress injury. One of his areas of study as far as self-study. More common. So, interesting. Do you have any issues with disassociation? I did. It was how I was able to perform, I guess, with the memory lapses as a form of disassociation, and it is known as disassociation and is common with PTSD. Yep. Okay, so my dissociative portion was memory loss. So I would be working along, I would have a triggering event, and sometime later I would be aware that I am not in the situation that I can recall last. And that started happening more often the last bit of my career before I decided to quit. But it happened more frequently as well before I stopped and had started going to school, to the barber school, and to move to the Middle East. So I'd have these memory lapses. I had one really big one in the Middle East where I was shopping, and this little Arab grandmother who was in traditional dress for an Emirati. Some of the Emiratis choose to cover their face. A lot of older Emirati women would choose between the typical cover your face with as part of your hijab, your head cover, or they would wear this traditional leather mask, and it was like a half mask. And this particular lady, I can still see it in my head. I mean, she had a voice of like a million-year-old grandma, and she hit my cart with her cart, and I said, "Pardon me," and as I moved away. Well, when English is your second language, and it's not really a second language because she doesn't speak it, English is one of the most complex languages as far as we have same words mean different things, same words sound the same but are spelled differently. It's just very complicated. So found out from a bystander who was a little Filipino gentleman that what she said to me, I mean, she just responded to me, and I remember her yelling at me in Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. I know some, but not a lot. She had yelled at me, and then my next recollection is that I was walking around the lighting department in this particular store, which was like a huge market store inside of a mall, and in the Middle East and in other parts of Europe, the all-in-ones, like we used to have Fred Meyer had a grocery section, but then it also had like housewares and all the stuff that you would buy in a department store was also in the grocery store. That's how this was, but like on steroids. It had like everything under one roof, kind of a situation. So I was way across the store in like the lighting section for some reason, and this person came to me and was like, "Sir, are you okay?" And I, finally acknowledged him and said, "Yeah, I'm good." And I said thank you, and I kind of continued to just look at lights, trying to figure out what had happened. And he said she thought that you were being rude because she misunderstood what you said. And I said, "I'm sorry." He says, she misunderstood that you said "pardon me" was not, it was the same as like, "excuse me." She thought that you were giving her a lecture or something. And she wasn't going to take that from you. It was like, okay. And then he said something about, your face looked like my dad's face, and he was in a war. So are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He says, well, your cart is over, or was over in the food section by the bread when you left it. And he left. And so I had like a ton of stuff in the cart, and it turns out that I had lost about 45 minutes to an hour worth of time. So I went back, cart was still there, and I replaced some of the items that I didn't feel that I needed, because I didn't want to have any more time in that store that I already had. Went through, did the checkouts, and still had I don't want to remember, still had like a half-hour cab ride back to our apartment, or a half-hour, 40-minute ride in a taxi cab to process all this stuff. It was a difficult situation. Well, that's when I finally had decided that I was going to talk to my wife more about it, and she had a bad day at the hospital, and she had come home, and I was trying to find a way to bring it up to her, but it's kind of an odd conversation to have. Say, hey, had this freak out in the store a little bit, and this is what happened. And instead, we had discussions about something that our arguments were just basically us saying, well, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or what the hell, why am I the only one doing this? And that's the escalation of our arguments usually. So there was some small escalation, and I said, oh yeah, well, this is what happened to me, blah, 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 blah. I did a quick brain dump, and then I went in the other room. And after she processed it, we talked about it. So that's when it became more than evident that I needed more than just a medication to make me more normal. But it's those memory losses that are distressing. And so the less stress I'm under, the less often that happens. But I don't just have like a flashback in a store or whatever and relive some traumatic moment, I'll have a memory lapse. And so that's what my disassociation does to me, and it's not as frequent anymore, but it's one of the features of PTSD. Let's see. Vern was going to research something and get back to me as far as the disassociation part of the third party point of view for Kelsey over here on Facebook. Vern, if you find some links and you want to send them to me, you can also send them to the email seasonedmedic@outlook.com, and I will also get them to Kelsey. We chat quite frequently. So Kelsey says over here on Facebook, I have a lot of memory loss too, but with my condition, it's also hard to distinguish which one is happening at what time. I try to organize my brain, but it's pretty difficult to know if it's the PTC or me disassociating. So her physical medical condition causes her to overproduce cerebrospinal fluid, which puts pressure on her optic nerves, causing horrible headaches and possibly other memory conditions too. I mean, it's understandable both as a physical ramification of what's happening there. Increased pressure is decreased circulation to the brain, decreased circulation to memory areas, so it could be a little of both, but yeah, that's it. And it's distressing to realize it causes its own anxiety when you realize that you can't remember something, and it seems to be something so simple, right, that you should remember it. And you also have the added stressor that you add to yourself of feeling that way. You're like, God, it's just something simple. I shouldn't feel like this, or I shouldn't have to feel like this. It's easy for everybody else. Why is it not easy for me? Self-defeating behavior is rather common with all kinds of mental illnesses, or even physical illnesses that feel as though it's complicating your mental state. Fairly complicated thought process there. Hope I got it all out. But yeah, that's my disassociation is memory loss. I don't act out. I don't have an over aggressive personality. So even when I'm taking mood altering substances, like when I take Xanax because of a panic attack, which I don't do very often because it doesn't have that much of a calming effect on me, and a larger dose just makes me go to sleep, which I guess sometimes is helpful. But yeah, even when I take a mood altering substance, or if I have been drinking alcohol, I don't have a aggressive attitude. I have more of a sedate attitude, which is in line with what medications or substance that I was drinking. They're depressants. So I guess it's a proper response, but I don't get the sense of relief that some people do when they take Xanax or Ativan. I just feel hungover the next day, or once it's out of my system, I just kind of feel blah or dehydrated. Dehydration is what causes most people to have bad, horrible hangovers when they drink, because they are only intaking alcohol or mixed drinks, and they're not necessarily having free water along with it to help maintain your hydration level. Fun fact. It's like Xanax makes, let's see, let me just throw it up on the screen over here. Xanax makes me want to get up and do things, which does work, get my mind off the anxiety, but my brain just doesn't shut off with it, and I don't care for it. Yeah. Some people feel like they have, it's an inhibition suppressant too. Some people have that response, so they do feel intoxicated. They do feel like they might do things that they don't normally would with them. Some of the sleeping pills, the more popular ones, do something similar. That's part of the problem with the sleepwalking and whatnot, is this disassociative effect that it has on people. I have had patients that I've talked to that say, oh, well, I can't take this particular drug for sleeping because I gain weight with it. Well, it gains weight because when she would sleepwalk, and she would try to empty her fridge all in one night, kind of a thing. She would eat while she was sleeping because she was physically trying not to eat during the day because she was trying to diet. She goes, oh, whenever I take this, I eat. And then her husband was like, yeah, or when I take this, I gain weight. Her husband says, yeah, because you get up in the middle of the night and you eat all the things that you don't normally eat during the day. So, interesting stuff. Yeah. Well, I think that this is a comfortable stopping place. Vern, whatever information that you find, you can always send it to me in the email, and I can get it to Kelsey that way. But it's been a good day for me. I enjoy this. Once people understand what it is that we're doing, maybe we'll get more people interested, and they'll join. If you have information that you would like to share, there's my email address. That way I can keep all the content in one spot instead of sending it to my personal email, one of two personal emails that I use. We can send stuff for stream/podcast to Seasoned Medic, SEA, CMD, MEDIC@outlook.com. And we can put the content out that way. If you are a Discord person, that's my Discord address. You can join the server there, and we can continue discussions offline, and you can give me suggestions, ideas, or just generally chat with each other too. Kelsey and Vern, you can pass information back and forth directly at the discord.gg/STWZXVR. So once again, for the podcast people that can't see the screen, would be the discord.gg/STWZXVR. But all right, another successful day, another week down. I may try to do some of these in an afternoon if you happen to see that I'm on Twitch or I'm on Facebook Live or whatever. We can also have these chats there. I'm just trying to spread them out, get them in a different time frame so I can catch more people that I know I chat with in the afternoon and evening. I just happen to do it not in this format. So if you're over on Facebook, appreciate the likes and the shares and comments during stream. You can even put comments after stream and I'll still get them. If you're rewatching this, you can put comments, and if you want responses, just let me know. But so far, I'm really enjoying this, and I hope you guys are too. So I will go ahead and end this the way I normally do, with I hope you guys have a great day. Not just because I said so, but because you guys deserve it. All right? We'll talk to you again, if not this weekend, then Monday morning.